All right. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome in. We are so happy to have you with us tonight. Thank you for joining us in your late afternoon or evening, whichever way it may be. Lovely. Thank you so much. Yes, love to see the reactions. That's amazing. Love to hear how you guys are doing and everything that's going. While you guys are filing in, we're waiting for some people to come in. Why don't you guys throw in the chat for us? We do have the chat and the Q&A box open for you. Throw in the chat where you're coming to us from. Would love to hear the city and state if you want, where you guys are from. Let's get to know everybody. Great. We got Phoenix, Nashville, Fort Lauderdale, Houston,
Tampa.
Texas. Yeah, feel free. I know it's going so fast. West
Ooh.
Virginia, Texas, Colorado, Maryland, Illinois, Delaware, Kentucky, South Dakota, Minnesota, South Carolina. Nice. Love it. Love it. New York in the house. Okay, good. Jersey. Awesome.
I'm Orlando
Amazing. Got
too,
I
Lee.
saw the Orlando, Mary. You have some
Albuquerque
company.
has entered the chat.
Oh yeah.
I was waiting for
Texas.
Virginia to
I saw
get
West Virginia. I don't know if I saw
close.
Virginia. Yeah, you have a neighbor in there. All
Mhm.
right, awesome. And how about too, if you guys want to throw in there, like, what is your role? What do you do? Are you a reporter, transcriptionist, scopist, manager? Throw that in the chat too. Get to know everybody in there and go through some of that. All right. Reporter, transcriptionist, CDR, CET,
I'm sorry.
scopist.
Wow.
Beautiful. Good mix. I love it. Transcriptionist, scopist, CER, CET. Love it. Amazing. Such a diverse audience we have here. Love you guys. It's so great. Oh, a scholarship program for digital court reporter. Amazing. Love that. All right, great. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Tamara Candeloro. I am your host for tonight. We have the most amazing panel for you. We're gonna get to it, and we're gonna be working through this. I can't even tell you all the mentorship that you guys have coming for you tonight. It's just beyond the wealth of knowledge that we have here for you. We do have a couple quick housekeeping notes I'm going to go through really quick before we get going. This webinar is approved for 0.10 CEU through AAERT. So to receive credit, you do need to stay for the full session. A survey will be emailed to you tomorrow by the end of day tomorrow from info@blueledge.com. So please just complete that. And when you do, you'll be able to get your certificate from there that you can then go submit to AAERT. And then we are going to have time for questions at the end. We do have the Q&A chat box open. So feel free to pop those in anytime. Just don't be worried if we aren't getting to them yet. And we did get the questions that people submitted ahead of time as well. So we do have those already fit in to our thing tonight to ask the panelists. So thank you everybody so much for those that were submitted. And please feel free to interact with everything as you're coming in through the chat and talk. You have the reactions that we love to see. And it's great to have you guys with us and interacting. And I'm going to ask one more thing in the chat. Actually, I want to too. So we have the Unity Summit next week, you guys, the conference in Nashville, Tennessee. It's going to be amazing. So excited. Everybody on this panel right here is going to be there. And then I would love to hear in the audience who's going to be there. Awesome. Brandy's going to be there. Sweet. Who else is coming? We love to hear Paul, Tori, Laura, Eileen. Yes, love it, everybody. Jenny and Christian. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so amazing to meet everyone in person. It's so much fun. It's so worth it. So many great contacts and information. Love it. I love the cowboy hat. Yes, we got to get in with that. Great. Okay. So tonight, definitely, we're going to have some very insightful and actionable takeaways for you. Okay. We brought in the real deal of panelists. These are court reporters and transcriptionists who have actually built freelance careers and firms. They've made the mistakes, they've figured them out, and they're here to share it all with you honestly and openly. This is meant to feel less like a lecture, of course, much more like a conversation that you wish you could have with someone who's a few steps ahead of you. And whether you're freelancing right now, working as an employee, or maybe just thinking about what's next, you're curious what others are doing, or maybe you're even somewhere just in between. there's something in this conversation for you tonight. So we're so looking forward to everything that's going to be coming through for it. An important note that we do want to make ahead of time. So these are caught comments and thoughts from your peers. Okay, this is not legal advice. We do not have financial advice. They're going to talk about experiences that they've had and things that they've done personally for themselves. Anything along those lines, though, we do say, please, by all means, speak to a professional, especially if some things vary state by state, right? So they're giving you things to think about, to consider, to research. But just know it's not advice from that standpoint. Okay. All right. And then now let's meet our panel. Let's go for it. Okay. I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves if you're good for it. And how about we start with Merritt? Will you introduce yourself first?
Hello, everyone. So excited to have you. My name is Mara Gilbert. I am the director and lead instructor of BlueLedge. As many of you already know, we offer certification, prep, and continuing education courses for digital reporters and legal transcriptionists. Before working at BlueLedge, I became a digital reporter. I guess it was 2012. I also worked at a court reporting agency for many years where I hired and trained digital reporters and transcriptionists.
Amazing. Thank you so much. How about you, Shayla? Are you ready to go for us next? Tell us a little bit about
Absolutely.
yourself. Perfect.
So I am Shayla Kaiser. Thank you for coming, everyone. Nice to see you, or if not, I don't see you. Nice to have you here. I have a small boutique, I will call it boutique court reporting firm with me and my husband, and we've been doing it approximately since 2012, off and on, and we got started through a personal divorce deposition. And I will always remember Mr. Rocky, who was a voice writer. And by the way, I'm digital, so he was a voice writer that got me started back in the day when the information wasn't so plentiful. And that is why I'm so glad y'all are here, because the information is just everywhere now, and it's best to get it to you. But yeah, that's it about me. I'm a digital court reporter and I am a small business owner. And glad to be here.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shayla. We're so happy to have you here too. How about you, Miss Margie? You ready to go next for us?
Well, since I'm the last one, I guess I better be ready, right? My name
Yeah.
is Margaret Lowry. Everyone calls me Margie. I was a transcriptionist starting in 2002, and I worked for several different transcription houses, firms, different people. In 2023, I worked for a particular company who suggested I go to TCRA for digital reporting, and it opened all these doors I didn't even know were there. So I did that freelance for a little while, and I had just in January of 2025, I landed the best job I've ever had in my entire life, and I'm now a W-2. But that all that said, I was a freelancer for 22 years. So
Amazing. Thank you. Yes, such well-rounded experience you guys all bring. I'm so thankful for, and you're all on the AERT board. I mean, so you all bring a history of being involved in the industry and caring and volunteering and giving so much service to the industry. So we're so thankful, for all that you guys have given for that too. So all right, so we're going to get into it and we're going to start at the very beginning, okay? Because I know a lot of folks in our audience are either thinking about going freelance or they're brand new at it, or maybe even they've been doing it for a little while, but they're still figuring it out. I want them to know they're not alone in that. So I wanted to hear a little bit about your origin stories. I'm going to say, take us back to the moment you decided to go freelance or even start your firm. What was happening in your career or life that made you say, I'm going to do this? And Margie, do you want to go first for us?
sure.
Okay.
I Gosh, let's see. Okay, so how did it happen? I was working for attorneys in Oklahoma City, and you name it, I did it. And my husband was in Washington State. He proposed to me. At the
Hmm.
time I moved to Washington State, of course, I didn't know anybody here. And believe it or not, I think, I don't know if it's I can't remember the name. It was Hot Jobs at the time. My resume was up there, and I got a email from an international law firm based out of New York City who wanted me to take their overflow work. And I did that for a couple of years. And when they said that they couldn't keep me on because of the fact that they had to have a firm in my state to keep me. At that point, I had made some connections and started freelancing. So I kind of backed into it. It wasn't like, I'm going to do that. It was, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I love that though. That's great. That's perfect. I'm sure there's so many that can relate and have the same story for that too. How about you, Shayla?
So in my opening, I kind of mentioned it. So I did not know what a court reporter was. And so it was funny that it happened through something that was kind of traumatic for me, but it's just the strangest thing that I took off with it. And I just knew from that moment that this was for me and there's no other job for me and no other career. To do the freelancing part, that was tough. That was to start the business and do the freelancing. It was tough, but I did a lot of temping in my early 20s, so it kind of made it easy to just go with the flow with that. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got started and decided to just do a firm and just go from it because I just knew that this was it. And there was no going back to anything. And I still work. Y'all don't know this. I was a driver at FedEx Express, and nobody probably knows this.
Nice.
I was still working there while I was learning court reporting. So it kind of worked out. So
Very nice. Awesome. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious about the details. Like, what was it, or was there anything that surprised you the most about working for yourself once you started and got going?
the amount of work, you think working for yourself means freedom. It does not mean freedom. It just means a lot more dedication, a lot more diligence to what you're doing. But
Yeah.
that's what surprised me the most.
Yeah. That's good advice. How about you, Marky? You kind of laughed. You can relate a little bit to that too.
Well, when I was working for the Oklahoma bar, I was always having to leave early because I had small children at home. And I had the impression that they thought I was a slacker. By
Mm.
the time I was up here and started working for myself, I found out that I'm a workaholic because I could not sit in my living room and watch TV knowing I had something in my queue in the office. So
Yeah.
it's just, I think that's, it was a great eye opening, but it was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good though. Yeah. It's like, and you're in the perfect field for it too, because you can keep picking up more and going at it if that's what you're looking for. So I love the flexibility in that with that for sure. So
Absolutely.
here's a question. What do you wish someone had told you on day one if you're going back and starting? What are your thoughts? Either one of you, any feel free.
Save your money and pay your taxes.
Okay, good, good. We love it. We love it.
It's going to take a lot of time and dedication, and
Oh,
echoing what Margie said too.
Yeah,
It takes
yeah.
time to
Patience.
build your reputation, right? I
Mhm.
Yeah.
mean, I personally was never a freelancer, but I worked for my mom's company and
Mm.
she owned it, and I felt a lot of the weight of that ownership, like, really caring about the reputation to probably an unhealthy amount, but that's kind of the point. Like, you're
Yeah.
your own boss, but like that's how much you care, and like you care more because it's your reputation, and like you could work for multiple companies and you have to make sure each of those companies or clients all know the value you bring to the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
I'm
absolutely.
love
going to
that.
add on to that really quick. Scheduling is
Please.
number one, especially if you are having multiple agencies that you're working with. Scheduling and being on top of your time management. Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I feel like this ties in really well too with what I was going to ask you, Merritt. So, like, what would you say is a connection for this? Maybe that people that aren't planning to freelance right now, maybe they're employees or whatever. I mean, how would you kind of give some words of wisdom there?
I think you're learning so much when you're working as an employee that if you ever were working as a freelancer one day in this industry or outside of the industry, back to what you're expecting out of your freelancers. Like, for example, the more you say yes to an expedite transcript, if you're a transcriptionist, the more I'm going to offer them to you. As because I was the
Yeah.
manager of our digital reporting department, if you said yes more often, I would just go to you first. It would just save me time instead of asking like five other people or
Yeah.
seeing the entire team and just waiting and waiting. I just would go to the people who would say yes, or I could like count on first, and then
Yes.
end up getting better work because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good advice. Definitely. Okay, so I love that. Now let's see. We're going to dig in a little bit into what it actually looks like day to day and kind of start with everyone's hot topic when it comes to business, money. So let's talk about the thing that everyone gets a little bit awkward talking about. So pricing, taxes, getting paid. This is a lot of where the new freelancers, honestly feel the most lost. So let's break it down just a little bit. And I'm going to ask, when you first went freelance, how did you figure out what to charge? Did you just go with whatever the agency offered, or did you have a strategy? So how do you, Shayla, you have an answer you want to go with for that one
Yeah,
for us?
so
Okay.
starting off and you feel like you're in a place you kind of don't belong, you are going to kind of undercut yourself. And it's sad, but it's what happens. And you're going to accept the rates that they give you, and you're just going to think it's okay. You're going to think it's normal. And then the next thing you know, you start investigating, you start learning, and go and you're like, hey, let me see an invoice from this company. Let me see an invoice from this company. And then you're like, oh, I am undervaluing my work. So that's kind of one of the things that a lot of people do starting off.
Yeah. So kind of like learning a little bit through the process too. And I
Mhm.
mean, obviously we're going to make some concessions maybe when you're starting a little bit, right? If you don't have the
Mhm.
experience, but yeah, that's good advice for sure. What, Margie, did you have anything you would add to that?
I actually took the rates that were offered to me because I didn't know any better. But I will say this, joining AAERT changed my life. I was offered I got my CET and immediately was offered a job with better page rates, and it
Mhm.
opened the doors for me to go into court reporting. So I can't, AAERT changed my life. So I could say that that's a good way to start out. You have people that you can speak to that are in the same boat you're in. And I don't think I know of anyone that wouldn't help you if you were
Yeah.
approached. But
Mhm.
I do know that uh, the times that I had trouble with getting paid or something, or I didn't like the rate, I just would go and paper the internet with my resume. And, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. I will say that I had to wait a year and I got a bite on one really good contract. But, it is what it is. You just keep putting yourself out there. And like Merritt was talking about, accept those expedites, be there. And also, if you can't take the job because you know you can't turn it in on time, don't take the job
Yeah.
because your reputation in this industry is everything.
Yeah. Great, great advice. And I see a lot of people, you get a lot of reactions. I'm loving what you're saying, Margie, and a lot of comments in the chat too, that absolutely their certification made a big difference. People were even reaching out to them, seeing their name on that list, and everything like that too. So definitely a lot of people realizing the same thing that you realized, too. Is there
Yep.
anything you wanted to add to that, Mary? If not, I have something else too. I was gonna
Something just
add
came to
on
my
to that.
mind. We had the agency I worked at, like a contract that was requiring our digitals to have CERs. So like that is why they bring so much value because then like the agency or you can actually work with these companies that have requirements for those CER for the certifications.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So if we talked about a little bit like getting started out and going from there. So say you did start out maybe taking a little bit lower rate or here or there, but how can you negotiate? And this is one of the questions that someone submitted ahead of time. So thank you for that. How to negotiate for higher rates and how can they start the conversation how often should the rates go up? These are all the kind of questions. They did say my agency uses a percentage model and I am paid the base rate, but I know I am worth more. I would also like to raise my minimums. I don't want to get less jobs booked, so I'm accepting less than what I want to. Do you have any thoughts you would like to fit in for that? Shayla,
So
Margie, either.
I do think that you're supposed to raise your rates kind of every year, and it's just kind of where it's at. And I will tell you, I've freelanced and I still do with companies that think 2015 rates are acceptable today, and that's not right. Price of living has more than covered that. But I do think you should negotiate. And if you've learned anything from the position, go elsewhere. It's okay to do that sometimes. Just go elsewhere, put yourself out there. And this is where you're supposed to say, "Hey, no, I'm done. Hands are washed. I'm going to start my own firm." And that's where that kind of comes into play. Ed.
Yeah, yeah, great advice for sure. Margie, Merritt, did either of you want to add anything to that?
Thinking about working for like multiple companies, it's always good
Mhm.
too in that way. And
Yeah,
like building relationships that way is good.
that's a good
Definitely.
advice.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
Because the industry is smaller than you think, and people do talk. And
Yeah,
they will say this this person, I almost said reporter, but I mean this transcriptionist is fantastic,
Mhm.
and that's how you word of mouth. It
yeah,
definitely works in this industry more than I thought when I started.
yeah. And I
Really?
feel like you're, oh, go ahead.
No, I just keep thinking about like references are so powerful. Somebody being like, "Oh,
Yeah,
Margie, oh my gosh, amazing!" Like
yeah,
then it is just it
Exactly.
keeps going, going, going that way. The more
Mhm.
people you
yeah,
engage with.
yeah. And I feel like it ties in with a question that just came in actually over on the chat side, just to tie it in, is how do you know what's good rates versus bad rates? And I feel like a lot of that comes through being a part of your community, talking to, people and having that network. Would you agree? Would any of you have any other advice on anything you would give from that on how to know where you're
If
rating in there?
if you're starting out, maybe a lower rate just to get your feet wet, get in the door, get some experience. There's no shame in that. And like Shayla said, when it's time to move on, it's time to move on. And you have that reputation built with that agency or
Yeah.
company or person or whatever, and then you carry that and it just kind of builds on itself,
Yeah. Okay,
I think.
perfect. And then, yeah, no, I think you're right too. I definitely feel like we've seen a lot of examples of that. Um, and just to build a little bit more into the question that they had, just to touch on the other part of it. So, if you're actually even just trying to bring up the conversation and talk about negotiating rates, what do you think? Would you suggest for something like that?
I do think that it's something that has to be done. So you go in and you just be as respectful and just say, "Hey, how are you open to the idea of this?" Because they know themselves that the cost of living has just skyrocketed. So
Yeah.
it's something that you don't be scared to ask for it, because it's something that the worst they can say is no. And then
Yeah.
hopefully your eggs aren't in one basket and you're like, okay, well, you toddle back, and then you go to the next company that's willing to meet you at least halfway. And that's
And those are the
Yeah.
ones you stick with.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. That's great advice. Thank you. So, I mean, because it's very similar as an employee, right? I mean, you ask and you do what you feel like you need to do for yourself, but do it respectfully. Obviously, of course, you're not trying to be offensive or burn any bridges or anything like that, and that's probably the key to almost anything in business, right? That we see.
Sure. Sure, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so Margie, I'm throwing this one to you first because you just made it very clearly that you've learned your lesson from here. So let's talk about the self-employment tax surprise. I know you
Uh,
remember the first time you realized how much you owed as a 1099
yeah,
contractor. What
absolutely.
happened? Whatever details, and what would you do differently now?
Um, well, the first year that I worked, I was, like I said, I was a a contractor for an international law firm. I had no experience whatsoever. I didn't even realize the difference between W-2 and 1099. That's how doofy I was at the time. So at the end of the year, I get my W-2 or my taxes all together, and then there's this like 4-figure payment I have to make, and I had a small little heart attack. And the first thing I can recommend is if you have to get a loan, because if you pay off through the IRS, it will take you forever because the interest rate compounds like every minute. So definitely, and what I learned from that was I just took a portion of whatever I made every month and set it aside and paid every month instead of quarterly. I joined EFTPS, and I would just send them, a payment in every month, and that helped me with the sticker shock at the end of the year.
Yeah, great advice. Go
I'm going to
ahead.
touch on that too.
Yeah.
Just for anyone starting out that might have ran into that problem, I learned also you can ask for an abatement if it's your first time and you've been perfectly fine that whole time. You can ask for an abatement and just word it so that they know, hey, this is the situation and I didn't know. And
Yeah.
that doesn't always, work. I don't know, but ask for an abatement before you, because it happens. It happens all the time. And I do really quick, and this is not financial advice because I don't give that, but try to, do your LLC and try to just get a subchapter for like an S corp, because then you don't have to worry about the small business tax or the self-employment taxes. You move from the employee mindset to a business owner mindset, and you're trying to get as
Yes.
much return as you can. So
Yeah.
I'll try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
you run
great
into that
advice.
problem.
Yeah,
And
no, that's great advice. Definitely perfect. All of those perfect examples and reasons why to, speak with someone in your state that's a CPA or I forgot the name of the other one that helps with a lot of that stuff at the LLCs. It's kind of like an accountant, but different. But anyway,
Well,
yeah, definitely. Were you gonna say something, Merritt?
yeah, just I wanted to ask though, so you do monthly, Margie. Is that just like out of an abundance of caution, or like are you, because I've heard quarterly is
Mhm.
really like the standard of
Yes.
for being a freelancer. Um and okay, so and then also like with that S corp thing, Shayla, yeah, like I was learning that like again, like not advice, but like from what I understand, like yeah, you can like really like significantly reduce how much you're paying in taxes because of that self-employment. Like you're able to say only this much was for self-employment, and then the rest of the profit wasn't self-income. So
like dividends, yes.
mhm.
I just did it because I didn't know anything about taxes, and I couldn't afford an accountant. And I know that sounds like you should have really done that, and I should have really done that. But I figured that if I just pay it every month, then it's gone. I don't have it sticking around to spend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and there's someone in the chat that does it just like that too, Margie, and there's several people that do it quarterly as well. My daughter, she saves hers in a savings account. I think I saw someone else in the webinar chat
Yeah, I
that
saw
does
that.
that as well and then pays it at the end of the year. So there's so many
Brilliant.
different things. I think the important part is playing for it. Like definitely be taking it into account. Don't get caught off surprise,
Yeah, be
right? And
aware of
going
it.
yeah, and then definitely looking into for you if it's the best situation to do the LLC with an S corp subchapter. Great advice with that. And then gosh, there was something else I was going to bring into that. What was
Separate
it?
accounts, because that's kind of what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
Yeah,
separate accounts
separate
is
your
great.
money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
you can write off a lot more than you
Thank you,
can as
Margie.
an
That's what it
employee.
was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please go with that, Margie. That's exactly what I was trying to
Yeah.
bring out details on.
I didn't know that at the beginning either. And then I don't even know how I found out about it, but like, anytime you buy anything that is used exclusively for your business, write it off, put it on your taxes, and knock wood, I never got audited. It's a cost of doing business. And I'm talking about software and hardware and association dues and everything you can think of that is, you have to have it to work, to have your business open. that's
Yeah.
what you do.
Is
Yeah.
there
And for
something
like,
oh, sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say, just for like, if you have like an office space, I would take a portion of your mortgage or your rent and then push
Yep.
that and say, hey, this is my lease for myself to my business or my company, and then have
Mhm.
that way you track everything while you're doing it, so you don't have to go back at the last minute and try to get it all together. So
Yeah,
Well, I
very good
wish I'd
advice.
met you back then.
that's information from my sister.
And we got Victoria Lowe made a comment. She keeps an Excel spreadsheet for expenses, and it's helped her to keep track and be able to share that with her tax preparer. And that was a question I was going to ask too. Like, are there any tools, QuickBooks, or anything like that that you guys personally feel have been like, monumental for you that you would recommend someone looking into maybe?
I will say I heard great things about HoneyBook. I personally use Zoho. They have everything from your invoicing to your payroll to your expenses to all that, and it's just in one little software, and you could just click on
Yeah.
which app you want. I love that. Just having it all in one spot. But just like payroll companies as well, I would do all that. And the Excel thing, that's awesome. That I think you said Victoria said that is awesome to just make sure you're tracking it. Then
Mhm.
that's a great recommendation.
That's why it's
Okay.
so helpful too to have your business account at a bank account. It's very
Yes.
separated. It's also like a liability thing, ideally. I mean, of course, sometimes you might charge something on your personal, but then you can like, there's ways you can like kind of account for that.
Mhm.
So that it's just also easy to just look at the business account and just see it. But I love the Excel on top of that. I love my Excels.
Yeah.
My husband, freelancer, real estate agent. So like he uses My Like You for his miles too. So like he can like track
Mm.
how much of that deduction he can use for his car usage.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great.
yeah.
Great. And I see a lot of people giving great advice and tips on what they use in the chat too. So thank you so much, everybody, for sharing that. No gatekeeping here. Like we help
No.
everybody out. And
Yeah.
then also, you can see how much it varies, right? From even just state to state. Like some people, their accountant tells them to do LLC, some say not to. It just varies so much by your situation, by your family size, by what you're doing. Like, so, but the key point is like definitely like look it up and find out because it really could change so much for you. Um, so okay, now we've got the financial picture. I want to go and let's talk about something that goes hand in hand with it, on protecting yourself and just setting yourself up in the right way. And one of the hardest parts of freelancing is learning to protect yourself, with contracts, with clear expectations, with knowing when to say no. And I'd love to hear some real stories, from deep in the trenches on this one. So the first one, this is a question that we got beforehand, and we'll see where you guys feel comfortable or how much you want to input on this one. But the question is, what are the benefits to having an LLC as a freelance reporter? And does annual income play a factor in determining if you should have an LLC? So it's definitely very probably state specific, but if there's anything else on that front, that anybody would like to voice, we've had a lot of comments in this in the chat too. So hopefully whoever submitted this question has, been seeing some of that in the chat. Yeah, Merritt, go
From
for
what I understand, when you do the LLC, if you file it as an S corp, back to like what I was saying about the personal income tax, self-employment part of it, you're able
Mhm.
to like just say like, okay, well, only this much goes here. This
Mhm.
much is other of the profit is going to be self-employment taxed. That's the benefit of the S corp when you're doing it, as
it.
opposed to just being an LLC without the S corp. You're not able to do that. All of it is taxable self-employment income.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And it's nice that LLC, depending on your situation and things like so, it's just a little bit extra protection to separate you from anything that's happening in your business legally at all. Like literally it just separates it. Go ahead, Shayla. You had something you want to add for that?
I just saw in the comments someone touched on something very important. You have to pay yourself a fair, reasonable wage when you do an S corp. That is the most important thing. Also, on top of that, it's state by state, but professional insurance. Like You can also do
Yeah.
that. It's not tax related, but just get that to kind of cover your E&O insurance,
You know.
however. But yeah, you do have to pay the payroll, and that was I didn't see who said it, but I wanted to just voice that as well because that is very important.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so this next question was submitted ahead of time as well. They said they've only worked as a W-2 employee, but now they're a 1099 contractor. And they're asking, what are some tips for this type of change? Any potential pitfalls that they can avoid or anything to keep their eyes out for and be aware of with the change? How about you? Margie, you're smiling. I can't tell if you had a thought you wanted to submit in there. You've gone the
Um,
opposite way. So,
I
you
know
know,
that's why
kind
I
of
was like
speaking backwards
smiling.
from
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah. I don't
But it's nice because you know both ways, right? You know the
true.
difference of,
Yeah, oh yeah.
yeah, yeah,
The freedom of working for yourself cannot be denied. I mean, you're in charge, you're the boss. But you're also the worker bee and the tax preparer and and there's I found that at first it's not necessarily like involving the work itself, but I found that it took me a very long time to separate. And what I had to do was have a separate room for my office where
mm-hmm.
if I went into that room, don't bother me, I'm working. And because you'll find that you'll have friends that want to chit chat because you're home all day. And, you know, it people just don't think, even your own family members, well, you're here, so that was the almost the biggest difference for me was learning that it's home and it's work and you can't run away from either one of them. But so you have to figure out what works best for you. I know it's not very technical, but that was hard one for me.
Yeah, yeah, great. Anybody else have anything that they would want to add into that part? I think we touched on some as far as like, obviously now you're gonna, instead of being an employee, you need to plan for your own taxes would be probably one of the biggest things from that standpoint. Um, Managing relationships, you're probably managing them with more people maybe now, a little bit different. So
So I'm gonna jump in really quick and
yeah.
for what Margie said, I don't have the honor of being at home all the time because I'm always out. But as far as the transition from a W-2 to a 1099 or self-employment or small business owner, you don't have the security of that check coming in every week or every month or and that is
Yeah.
scary at first. And it's just, it's one of those things that you don't want to just leap out and do it because it's scary. It's a scary transition. But once you figure out, okay, this is the situation and this is how it's going to go, then yeah. And a lot of it is just, I think that's, they say 3 or 6 months, you're supposed to have that nest egg anyway, 3 to 6 months. And that is really hard as self-employment, but it
Yeah.
gets easier once you are established. And
Mhm.
yeah, and fortunately, I hope a lot of y'all had jobs that had pensions and stuff, but there are like still pay yourself your 401k, pay yourself your retirement, pay yourself everything that you can, and you just got to figure out how now because you are the person that's in charge. It's not going to come out of your paycheck automatically. It's you're going to have to
Yeah.
put into your future. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to touch on that for the tax part.
Beautiful advice.
True.
I love that. All very, very great points to bring out. Thank you so much for that, Shayla. That was perfect. Okay, so on the contract side, have you ever been, burned by not having a contract in place or, it might be separate or had a client who pushed your boundaries? Is there something you could talk to that and expand on, either one of you? I see
Okay.
smiles from both of you, so I know there's something in there.
Well, I had one contract one time that I got one check that, or I didn't get a check on time, um, and waited and waited and waited. And then I finally got a check, and then they were just like behind. And so I just made the decision that I wasn't going to take any work from them until they got their stuff together. And it turned out that I ended up terminating that contract because of it, because honestly, we're not working for funsies here. And
Yeah.
when you're the boss and you're the sole proprietor, it's kind of important to get paid. And so if you don't get paid on time, like I told my husband, I said, you know, pay me late once. Okay. Pay me late twice. You're on notice. And pay me late 3 times and I'm gone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good
Uh,
advice. And it's important. Yeah. Go for it, Merritt.
You're reminding me when I worked at the court reporting agency, we'd have reporters, transcriptionists being like, oh, well, you know, you underpaid me for this job. And they don't, of course, it would always be like, they tell us when we'd underpay. But I'd always have to like remind, like, we are human beings that do make error. And like, and you know, of course, errors are going to happen because of human being. I mean, even AI makes mistakes on that note, guys. But check your invoices, like, you know, whether it's right or wrong, because don't just like trust because there can be errors, and but also just take that grain of salt of it's not going to be it's not always going to be intentional. I
Oh
just
no.
pray
And
that's not going to be the case most often, but yeah.
yeah, I'm so sorry if anyone thought that that was the case. But you know, you follow up, hey, this invoice is a little late. Hey, this invoice is late. It's still late. And you know, if you don't get any feedback or any, hey, I'm so sorry, there is a time to cut your losses, in my opinion. And it's you're absolutely right. Sometimes it's just a mistake, and we can all get over it and move on. But that
It
one
sounds like they were
contract I
ghosting
had,
you.
yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
All right, perfect. Great. So, okay, let's see here. Trying to look to at our time. I want to make sure because we do have a decent amount of questions that people put in too. So I might hop forward a little bit. I guess I just would want to ask, I do want to ask this one question to you, Merritt. From the agency side, like, or from the freelancer side, what are the red flags and maybe green flags that reporters or transcriptionists should watch for when evaluating who they're going to work with? Can you give us some thoughts on that?
Paying on time, of course. Yeah. Ideally, it being no more than a 2 week pay cycle. Um, I don't like the 30. I mean, if it's 30 days, then if it's always on time, then okay. Um, um, I guess it's kind of
Like
the opposite way. I was just
reputation, kind of like you were
thinking
saying.
about, yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking about quality. Like you kind of want to work for an agency that has quality standards, even if it can be annoying for you because maybe you forgot that proper noun, you know, or did like, you know, have a mess up. But if they have a good quality, I think reputation, they're going to get more and more work and they're going to keep growing. They're going to keep having more work for you.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, perfect. And I see this next question I was going to ask. It's one that was submitted ahead of time. I also see it in the chat. So maybe some people in the audience can help answer this in the chat too. I'm going to throw it out to the panelists as well, even though I think it's slightly out of the scope for this part. But what are the cons of working full time? So this person works full time for the state court system, as well as part time as a contracted transcriptionist for a court reporting firm in the private sector. And they're wondering, are there any consequences other than taxes that someone should be aware of before considering doing that? So having a full-time employer here and then doing part-time contracting work on the side. Any thoughts from any of you on what you think maybe?
I don't see anything wrong with a side hustle as long as you make sure that you're not any conflict of interest and no appearance of impropriety whatsoever. And you're good to go, I would think.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so looking back on this, I think the big takeaway here is obviously you have to advocate for yourself respectfully with your reputation in mind, building the community, the networks. No one else is gonna, step up for you more than you. So you need to do that. And it seems like just kind of move forward with patience and knowledge and kind of going from that standpoint. So now let's go into a little bit what we've talked about, really kind of coming throughout because it's such an important part of this is building your reputation and getting the work you actually want and building that name for yourself. So we've covered a little bit of like kind of the mindset and strategic part of that, the money. Let's see, like putting your name out there. Shayla, how did you get your very first client? I know your very, very first one, how you got that. How'd you go from there? And how is it different, or is it different from how you get work today?
So I mentioned to y'all before my very first client was a CPA agent, and I still call him Ed Sheeran, but it was a similar name, and I don't, that's a singer, that's not him. But I didn't recall it, but I put my business cards in a gas station, and he was just a CPA. He's like, "Hey, I need some audio recorded, transcribed." And I was like, or his voicemails transcribed. I was like, okay. And then he was telling me about himself because, older gentlemen love to talk. And so it was just the craziest thing. That's where I got a lot of my information. We bartered instead of, I'm like, I need to know everything I need to know. So he told me a lot of stuff that I would need to know. Some of it I forgot, some I remembered later. And I was like, oh, that's what he had told me. But then later it was about registering with like your local state vendors. Like once you, and that's something you I don't know if you can do that if you don't have a small business to register with that one I'm not sure of. But if you are, register with your state vendor so that you can get your client base going, and then you can go to federal, and then you can just get out there, do a Google account, do a Yelp account, set up your website, get your name out there, go to webinars, go to Unity summits, go to all of that, and talk to your, like, I've never had an issue, and I'm sorry for being so long. I've never had an
No,
issue
I love
in
it.
the courthouse where I am not having full-blown conversations with another court reporter, and it could be of any method, and we are just going to chit chat for the duration of the time we have. And
Yeah.
there's always some kind of an exchange of information, a card or anything, to where you're just like, hey, that's an opportunity. If you're in the courthouse, pass out your business cards. If you're there
Networking.
for on behalf of another company, don't do it in that courtroom. Do it in the hallway. But you can just get yourself out however you can and just advertise. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry for taking so long.
No, it was perfect. And you actually
Yeah.
you touched on a lot of things that people were putting in the chat and asking too,
Mhm.
even just how do you do that if you are remote? And you mentioned that too, like, being a part of webinars or conferences that are online. There are some for that
Mhm.
too, or the AAERT, Facebook and LinkedIn. Is there anything
Mhm.
else either of you wanted to fit in for that, Margie or Merritt?
My only advice is if you have a contract, you land a contract, communicate, 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 and be on time. If you said you're going to turn it in by this date, don't be late. Because like I said, this is a very small community, and it gets around if you're not professional. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. And there's a question here, another one that was submitted ahead of time. So we're kind of touched on it a little bit, but there's an angle of it I want to like kind of make sure we cover. Coming from no transcribing background, once they're certified, what is the best way to find employment and or practical experience? They said besides the BlueLedge job board, can you recommend any transcribing agencies or companies to apply with? So I would just say, I'm going to ask it in the sense of saying, finding like the companies out there and stuff. So obviously some of the networking, like we were saying, I mean, there's Facebook groups out there even that post that are looking. Is there any other thoughts you guys would add to that as far as finding where to apply and how to apply and different things like that?
Just to quickly add, as I'm looking at the chat,
Yeah.
we're talking about the new mentorship program through
Yeah.
AT.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and that is more, it's not like applying for a job, but it's a way when you are being mentored, if you do apply for the program, they can
Yeah.
help you with like that type of thing. But also it's again the connections and being like, oh yeah, I know Margie, I know Shayla, I know
Yeah.
their
Yes.
quality, that their professionalism, that I would be open to recommending these people because I've actually
Yeah.
gotten to know them. So you get to know people through there too.
I love that. Yeah. And that made me think too. I mean, even if you're on the websites or AAERT or STAR website or anything like that, you can also see who their sponsors are. And, like you could go to their website directly and see what positions they have or something like that too, is another way that you
Absolutely.
could kind of, if you don't know the companies right off, that's a good way to kind of find some companies. out there too. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up. 'Cause I saw that in the chat too. I'm glad you mentioned it, Merrick, because that's such a great thing to make sure everybody knows of. That email that went out from AAERT, was it today,
It
about the
was.
mentor-mentee opportunity. So definitely everybody check your emails for that if you're a member of AAERT, because that's, I mean, that's like gold right there for sure. Definitely.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Let's see here. The next one I was going to say we kind of covered, and we're getting close on time. Time runs out so quickly on these, you guys. There's so much good information. I wish we could just like pause time and cover everything. Okay, I want to make sure that I have time for the questions in the queue as well. So let me, I'm going to skip a couple more on my list here and I might pop back. I guess one thing I do kind of want to touch on a little bit, just in case, maybe even more for transcription, but I don't know if that's fair. But systems wise, is there something that you use that's like automated or that is like just a system that you really feel like has freed up a surprising amount of your time? I love the thought of that, because the more we can get efficient in those things, the more jobs we can do, the more money we can make and stuff like that too. So I don't know if you had any thoughts on that you guys would want to share.
I'm waiting for the answers because I am
Me
still,
too.
I'm
I don't know
still at
what
a
to
loss for
mean.
that.
Something I wanted to
I
ask
think,
you guys about was I remember, and this might have been because I was working at the court reporting agency and had to do more of this, but it might be more so for reporters because of remote work, is fixing PDFs, like getting quicker and knowing how to really like combine them, extract them. Once you like learn that tool, and you can be much more valuable instead of being like, oh, I can't do this. You just learn. It's not incredibly difficult, and I think it would add value and save you time if you just knew the tools a little better.
yeah, that's a
For
great tip.
sure.
Yeah.
Word,
And
word
not even,
perfect, all of that.
yeah, yeah. And I know AAERT's had a couple webinars where they had like a specialist come in, right, and do stuff. I'm trying to think, I feel like there was at least a word one or something
Yeah,
like that, if I'm
I believe there
remembering
was a
right.
word
And
one. Mhm.
yeah, so those great tips. And then was it Honeywell, would you mention, Shayla? Like some of those
Honeybook.
Honeybook, yeah. And then
Mhm.
there's like Dubsado and things like that that can help you kind of have everything all in one place.
Yep.
So those are great avenues to
Mhm.
look for from that too. And Zoho, I've seen that in there twice too. Thank you, Leah, for putting that in there early. Okay, great. I'm gonna hop over really quick over into the Q&A box and ask some questions really quick on this too. Okay, let me just scan it super quick. Okay, I'm just going to read it like it is. I don't want to like over summarize it. Okay, so when you're building a brand independent of the big agencies and eventually competing with them for direct attorney clients, how did you price your first 12 months? Did you undercut to pull clients direct or hold premium pricing and move slower? What would you do differently? Either
I'm
of
gonna
you?
say you can't compete with the big boxes, but you can. There's just so many like reporters, but you can position yourself to be the prime go-to, and you don't. You're not you. The attorneys will tell you what they pay. You just do what you think is best. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense if you're going to say, "Oh, I'm going to give you," and I'm not going to say any name because but I'm going to give you headphone price for what I offer, even though it's the exact same quality, same time and everything, but they have the team they're putting together the contract. So I don't know for that one how to fully answer it, but I do believe your whole job is to just understand that right now the court reporting agency and the fields and all that, we are kind of in it together, even though they're just positioned better. But there are so many attorneys that love the boutique aspect of
Yeah,
it, the personalization of it. So that's the only differential I can say, that you have to be the go-to person that they actually want, just so that they know, hey, I can call you at 2 a.m. even though
Yep,
it's not
please don't.
respectful, but that does happen. It does happen.
I
But
think you hit the nail on the head right there. Relationships. It doesn't matter who you're working for, if you're working directly with a private client or a firm. build that relationship, be on time, communicate, communicate, communicate. I can't stress that enough because you build that relationship. And then when you do that, they know that they can count on you. And so they'll
Yeah.
come to you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same thing what Merritt was saying, even from like an employee standpoint, you're going to go to who you know you can rely on and is going to get that job done for you. And it's the same thing, right? As going for a client, an attorney, and who they're going to hire. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is gonna, oh, go ahead. Go for it,
Nope, nope,
Margie.
nope, nope, nope.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
Are you sure? Okay, so this one I'm going to say, and if somebody maybe, I might throw this to see if some people can help us out and answer this one in the chat. Just because we kind of spent a little bit of time, I don't want to like go too much, but for this question, it's for those that provide services in multiple states. Do you have streamlined processes or a good resource for determining the laws around foreign LLC registrations, sales tax, business taxes, and income taxes for the different states? So I'm going to throw that out there. If anybody can kind of answer that in the chat, please do. I think that might be very specific. That'd be great to probably get a very professional opinion on that. And then Mara, I couldn't tell if you made it look like you were thinking of saying something, or are you good? We'll just
No,
throw it to the chat.
it was, I don't know how to answer that. So
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
not.
Okay. All right. Perfect. This next one I'm throwing to the chat too, unless any of you want to like speak up and say, is the CET difficult? So this is a little bit of a side question. So, but it's cute and valid. I appreciate the question. Yeah, I mean, it's known for you got to know your stuff. I'll say that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I failed the first time. I'll just tell you, straight up failed the first time.
Yeah.
And it was because did not read the email all the way
Okay. I
through.
love that.
And
That's a good tip.
it's silly, but it's one of those, I will go to my grave red-faced over that. But it was, read your email all the way through, all the instructions for whatever you get regarding the testing itself. And I know things are changing, so it will probably likely be different. But yeah, no, is it hard? Yes and no. Know your grammar and punctuation,
Yeah.
and formatting. And I know that sounds like, well,
Yeah.
gee, what else is there? But yeah, it's definitely grammar and punctuation. That'll save
Yeah.
your bacon.
Yeah. I love that. Save your bacon. Love it. Always want to save the bacon.
You won't have to take it twice like me.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay, let me ask a couple more quickly because we're getting really close to our time. Can I expect to get paid more if I'm a Ron and swear witnesses as well? So they don't have to bring in someone separate to swear the witness. Any of you have any experience with that? I don't know if I've seen that somebody got paid more for it. But obviously if you can have your Ron, that's just making you more marketable and
More
more
valuable.
opportunities probably going to open up for you. So yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
heard of it specifically either being paid more for the Ron, but because there are so many states that are able to do it remotely,
Yeah. It's
there
more
might
about like
be.
the openness you have and being, yeah. Okay. Let's see. So with a court reporter agency, is there a tiered or hierarchy for jobs to be scheduled? Is the client charged the same regardless of certified professional, the CSR, CDR, CVR, etc.? So is there a tiered hierarchy for jobs to be scheduled?
I can answer unless Shayla, you
Yeah,
want to take
no,
this
please,
one.
Merritt, go for it. Yeah,
So,
no.
at the core reporting agency I worked for, there wasn't like, of course, if the job required a certification, which was the case in like one county in Florida, then yeah, those people would get that had the certification would get prioritized on those jobs. But other than that, it wasn't prioritized in that way.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
For
Thank you.
that, I think if as long as it's just like the coverage is there, I don't believe there should be any higher pay or but
The
I didn't
right
want to touch on
reporter
it.
for the right job. To me,
Right.
like it's
Yes.
experience and capability as opposed to method of reporting, or because if you've been doing it for 5, 10 years, you're more capable of doing a higher end job.
Yes.
Yeah.
True
Yeah.
story.
Okay. Great. I want to say something just really quick. If you guys are okay with staying on for just a few more minutes, I'll go quickly through some of them, not long, but anybody that if you have to go off now, you would get credit for the CEU. But I have just a couple more questions I think we can squeeze in. So I just don't want to cut it off all the way. There is one question in here I want to address too really quick. It says, can we get a copy of the chat? We'll look at it and see. Maybe we could submit the chat to the people who have attended tonight, like remove the names just to make sure it's not out there for anybody, but just have the conversation points. We'll see if there's a way that we can do that and send it out to the list of everybody. That's a great suggestion. There's been so much like
Mhm.
gold in this chat tonight. It's been really, really
Yeah.
great. So yeah. Okay. Let's see. This one we might throw out is kind of a side question too, if anyone wants to answer in the chat or if it's a quick answer. Within AAERT, can a CDR create and certify their own transcripts? So I'm just going to throw that one out there and move forward because it's a little different than the topic tonight.
I think that's state specific.
Yeah.
So you know,
Okay.
state specific.
Thank you, Shayla.
Mhm.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And then we got this one answered pretty much. So I'm going to go past that one about what can be used as tax write-off. And thank you, Lee Allen, for answering that a little bit too. We did answer some of that live also. Let's see. Oh, asking if anybody would suggest doing notary work in addition to reporting and transcription. Certainly, I know a lot of people that do that 100%. Yeah,
One.
you do too, Shayla? Yeah.
Very rarely, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And I know Kaylor does. She has like a whole
Mhm.
page she does with her experience on
Mhm.
that. She could be a great person to reach out to. I know for sure she's on Facebook, probably LinkedIn, I remember too. Okay, great. And then let's see. Okay, this one I think is a valuable one too. We kind of touched on it, but a little bit more. But how do you work with more than one reporting agency at a time? Um, do any agencies work outside of normal business hours, or would that be more for transcription? So, working for more than one agency at a time, what would you guys give for words of
I
wisdom on that?
recommend it.
Mhm.
You shouldn't
Yeah.
have all your eggs in one basket. If you're freelancing, you should not. I mean, I know I have my eggs in one basket, but I'm an employee. But definitely try to find something that will dovetail. But yeah, just you learn what you can handle and what you can't. And I'm sorry, I forgot the rest of that question because I know there was something else I wanted to touch on. Was
It was, let me find it. Do any agencies work outside of normal business hours, or would that be more for transcription?
I actually had a Saturday depot one time. I didn't get
Yeah.
paid anymore for it, but I did have a
Oh, you
Saturday
should
depot.
have
So
been.
yeah, you know
Well,
how that
time
goes.
and a half.
Yeah, right.
I
But I mean, maybe I don't know. I just loved I wanted to be a court reporter my entire life. So I am so thankful for the opportunity and where I'm at right now. Just you have no idea. I pinch myself every morning. So
Oh, I love that.
Just
Okay.
really quick to
Well,
touch on that
yeah,
last one. If you
please.
go to different time zones, you could remotely work
yes.
for like get just to go different time zones, and you should be fine.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Love that. Will this recording be available to watch at a later date? Yes, it will. So we will have it posted. Normally we do it within a week or so. We do have the conference. I would say maybe it could take a little bit longer, maybe not, but we'll have it posted on our website under webinars in the on-demand webinars section. But yeah, is there anything else that any you feel on the panel that you wanted to say one more before I close us out and get going? You guys have been so, so amazing with everything you brought to us tonight. Thank you so much. It's hard to come up so openly and honestly about the way you do your business, and we appreciate all the information
I
you're
was just
sharing.
impressed with all of the information in the chat. There's some
Yeah,
really good information in there.
There is.
I
I
was
love
trying to
how
read,
helpful.
but
I know me
I
too.
know
Power in
it's going fast.
community. It's a
Yeah.
powerful, yeah, we all can help
Yeah.
each
Yes,
other.
absolutely.
I do want to say this
Absolutely.
before we exit. Thank you everyone for coming. And I do want to say just
Yes.
make sure that if you have a question, ask. If you have information, give it to other people. When I started, there was no information readily available, and I loved seeing that everyone's helping each other. And that's what we have to do. Is like, let's just
Yes.
keep lifting everyone up. And don't
Love it.
don't be your own hindering point. It's like just do it. Do it. That's
Get
all
out
I
of your
Yeah.
own
do it.
way.
Yeah. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Just jump and leap.
Yes,
I love
ma'am.
that. Yeah.
And
And
I
Shayla, you're,
second the thank you. Sorry.
yeah, no, perfect. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, and it is so nice to give back to the community and support everybody and do that. So I appreciate all of you saying that and doing that so much. And thank you for the audience for being here. And thank you for investing in yourself too. I mean, that's what today was all about, is going beyond the transcript and really building something that truly thrives for yourself and giving back to each other. It's so, so beautiful to see. I truly, I know I say it every time we have a webinar, but I just love our community, and everybody that we have is amazing. So just as a reminder, this webinar is worth the 0.10 CEUs. Thank you so much for staying. I'll send out the survey for you tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that in your inbox. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on the survey, and that we always read everything through there. Look for any topics you're looking for coming in the future, any feedback that you have. It really does shape what we do next. So thank you guys so much for that. And we'll get to see hopefully a lot of you at the Unity conference next week. So excited going to Nashville.
Yes.
So yeah, for sure. And stop by our booth and say hi, please. Anybody here on the chat, BlueLedge will definitely have our booth. We'll be there. Stop by and say hi. But yeah, everybody have a good night. Thank you so much for all your time. And it was
Thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you
Thanks so
guys.
much.
All right, bye.
Bye. Good night, everyone.